The power has been restored to the Iberian Peninsula, as a cause very well could be announced soon after an unprecedented power outage occurred in two countries in Europe. This is big news, and it very well could shock a whole group of people into purchasing and holding gold and silver. Let's talk about the significance of it all in this video as we explore. And we know it's always good to be prepared in many different areas, not just with gold and silver. But the power outage that we saw in Spain and Portugal is an example of what could happen really anywhere. But there are some hints and signs of possibly what the causes could have been here. We're going to get into that in a moment. But I want to remind you about channel sponsor Summit Metals. They have some of the best prices in the industry right now for gold and silver products. So check them out at summitmetals.com. Elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. Now, gold and silver indeed require no power to operate, to be what they have been for thousands of years. In fact, they have existed as money for longer than there was electricity, that's for sure. Longer than any country that has been around today, for sure. It's pretty amazing. But what happened on the Iberian Peninsula was unprecedented. You probably have heard about this massive power outage that is being investigated right now as to what has occurred. I have some ideas and some others as well too, but they are very close to finding a cause, according to the latest reports now from the UPI, Spain's investigation into the power outage that caused a blackout of the entire Iberian Peninsula. This week continued as top security officials met on Wednesday. Spain is asking private energy companies to help define the cause. Portugal wants an independent EU audit of the electrical systems. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez met with national security officials in Madrid as Spain's Council of Ministers held a separate meeting on the power outage. Sanchez said that the nation's electrical system must be changed and improved. We must make necessary improvements to guarantee the supply and future competitiveness of our systems. And by the way, here in the United States, our electrical grid is also very fragile, and there's going to be a lot more demand on it as AI and EVs continue to grow here in the United States. Portuguese Prime Minister Luís Montenegro said his government requested an independent audit from the European Union Agency for the Cooperation of Energy Regulators. I don't think it's going to be very independent, no matter what these agencies are tied to the EU, but that's just me. Montenegro called for an independent audit of the electrical systems of the affected countries to fully determine the cause of the situation. The blackout will be addressed during a debate between Montenegro and opposition leader Pedro Nuno Santos ahead of Spain's parliamentary election coming in May. Spain's fast transition to renewable energy is being looked at, but the national power company doesn't believe that was the cause. I think it probably was. There's another piece here that talks about this Scientific American. They're saying that according to this here, what they've got, let's see where if I can find it. It says that about 3/4 of the power in the Iberian Peninsula is from renewable energy sources, and in fact it's sad to see what has happened to Portugal and Spain and so many people there. But when you hitch your wagon to the weather, it's just a risky endeavor, according to Chris Wright, who's the U.S. Energy Secretary. Now, the remark represented a thinly veiled swipe at wind and solar, which were powering almost 3/4 of the Spanish grid at the time and went dark. So that kind of puts a little perspective as to what could be the cause behind it. But according to Spanish power company Red Electrica chair Beatriz Corredor, the investigators believe they know the cause but are still going over data before publicly announcing it. We know the cause, and we have it more or less tracked down. But the thing is there's millions of pieces of information because signals are sent every millisecond. She added that it's not correct to blame the outage on Spain's fast transition to renewable energy. Well, they may be trying to just cover their tracks. But who knows? That's a whole nother argument. But the thing is no matter what the cause of the power outages in those two countries that lasted for so long, they were unexpected and they lasted for quite a long time for the entire peninsula. Yeah, it wasn't just one or two cities, and that had a massive impact on the economy. Some people died because of it, and you could not make any digital transactions of any sort or use any electricity. So how should we be prepared in this type of thing? Well, it's good to have a generator, a backup generator, and there's other areas as well too. I need to do more on that front here as well, and because I had a power outage recently for a couple of hours, but nonetheless, it's always good to have some sort of backup. But even as such, they will only last you for so long. If it's out for quite a long time, your generators are going to run out of gas, and or your solar backup or whatever is going to go out if you have batteries for that. There's other areas and ways you can be independent from the grid, and I'm not there yet, but others may be. But nonetheless, other systems which are connected to the internet means you may not have internet connection. And there's other areas where everything is becoming more reliant on the internet. You know, the Internet of Things is still being developed, and many different items and objects are connected in some way to some sort of network in that regard. And unless you have satellite internet that is kind of independent of some of those of some of that infrastructure, we're kind of out of luck. And so electricity is very important, obviously, for a number of different areas and ways. Gold and silver rely on electricity in no way, shape, or form. And that's the amazing thing about their fungibility, their durability, and their lack of being connected to anything, to have no counterparty risk with gold and silver. And now, obviously, people who have cryptocurrencies and the like, you know, I'm not against cryptocurrencies, by the way, but I do believe that they have counterparty risk. Well, they do. It's obvious. And even if you have a cold wallet, unless you connect it to electricity, it's useless. There's no way to transfer everything. Now, I know that these power outages are temporary, and eventually they come back online, and that's true. But you never know what kind of disaster that could come the way through either an attack of some sort that could cripple the power grid for an extended period of time, enough time that people die, or or other things like an EMP or something that could just create a massive disaster for an extended period of time. And so those are the kind of things that you have to have backups for. A supply of food, water, and ammunition, and security measures around your home. And also cash. Yes, even though these are fiat dollars, it's good to have cash on hand to protect yourself so that you can make transactions. And also gold and silver, I think, will prove valuable through the course of a situation like that. And speaking of which, I would be remiss if I didn't show you some Spanish gold from the Spanish Royal Mint. These are the newest bullion coins from a government that have been issued that have been really a big hit in the community, and they're premium gold, and I think they're going to come out with silver sometime in the future as well too. But very, very nice, and obviously the Mint relies on electricity, so I think the next coin that's going to be coming out is going to be the bear, coming out later in the year, but nonetheless, you want to be able to have something that is going to protect yourself, and gold and silver will maintain its properties and its ability to be transferred for whatever reason, for goods and services, food, and whatever else you need. You can transact with gold and silver as long as the two parties agree. Just as is the case with cash, gold and silver are valuable for that reason. Now, it's not to say, especially with what happened in Spain, you know, if you would have asked me a week ago that, you know, the power was going to go out for up to 12 hours for the Iberian Peninsula, for the entire country of Spain and Portugal, I probably would have laughed in your face. The fact that it happened, the fact that it caused chaos and for that long a time is quite unprecedented. And so just imagine, if you will, if that was to be extended from some sort of nefarious activity, which, by the way, this could have been. They are poo-pooing the idea of a cyber attack, but it could have been. Will we ever really know the truth? We don't know. But it just goes to show you just how important gold and silver are. And my guess, there are some people in Spain and Portugal who may come back online and watch this channel, watch this video, that will realize how important now gold and silver are in a case like that for down the road. And again, understanding that there are other things that you should have as well to be prepared that are more important in the immediate aftermath of a power outage. I think it's a good idea to be prepared down the road for an extended period of time to have gold and silver assets in your possession, because you just never know what could come your way. And this is why it's a good idea to be prepared, and gold and silver are certainly ways to be able to do that, and they have proven themselves as valuable during these times, but really in any time. So there you have it. So let me know what your thoughts are about this video and about the latest news about the power outage in Spain and Portugal. It'll be very interesting to see how things play out and reason for it, or if it happens again. Gold and silver will always be there for you no matter what. And they have lasted this long. They're not going away anytime soon. So with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.